Hi there, today on Typical Books we're going to be talking about some of the books I've picked up recently. I haven't done a lot of book shopping, so there's no real haul videos to be had, so it's just a little mergers and acquisitions. You know what that means. A little catch up and a haul. And like I said, not a lot of books to be had, but two books of super interest, one that's sort of niche, and what I've been reading lately. This colorful and flopsy little beast is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. I wanted to catch up and read some more Riley Sager because I really liked The Only One Left, and there's so many other books. It's The House Across the Lake that I want to get to, but it's like he writes a new book every 6 months, it seems. There's a lot for me to catch up on, but this was in the free little library. And if you think that that's cool, that there's Riley Sager in the little library at my work, recall that this is the workplace with a annual book sale where I found a copy of Womb by Duncan Ralston, which is super cool. So there's someone there that reads good books. There's also a copy of The Rising by Brian Keene, which I'll touch on Brian Keene in just a little minute here. But first, Lock Every Door. This is an easy read copy, a special value price, and I've never seen these sorts of things. This reminds me of the sort of book that you would find, I guess, like you find mass market paperbacks at an airport, but this seems to me to be like a cheap little rendition. But I don't know, I'm interested. It is very flopsy. I love how flopsy it is. I guess that means it's super cheap. No visitors, no nights spent away from the apartment, no disturbing the other residents, all of whom are rich and famous or both. These are the only rules for Jules Larson's new job as an apartment sitter at the Bartholomew, one of Manhattan's most high-profile and mysterious buildings. So yes, I was taken right away. There's a lot more description to be had, but I was excited about that. There's a whole bunch of noise going on outside. The neighbors are moving something, or there has been ongoing construction at a large hydroelectric facility near me, so it could be that. I don't know. But yes, on to the library sale, which was just yesterday. We like to hit this library sale not every single month, but like several times a year, and you've probably seen me haul books from there before, but there wasn't a heck of a lot for Lydia. But I did pick up the Associated Press Guide to Good News Writing, The Word, and it looks like so biblical, and it's like in this brown kind of faux leather, and it looks so very biblical. But yeah, it's just a little tiny guidebook about good news writing. I love these sorts of little books. I like Strunk and White kind of stuff. I like Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. And this is going to go along with my other writing books. But the real winner was me for finding a copy of Cold Chills by Robert Bloch. Holy crap. This is so cool. This is a collection of short stories by Robert Bloch. 14 terror-filled tales to keep you up at night, he says. And this is basically mint condition. I don't know. It's being read for sure. It's not a library copy because it has no markings or stickers or anything. This sticker is put on by the Friends of the Ottawa Public Library to denote that it's a classic for $1. So $1 is what I've paid for this book. It has no pencil markings that I saw. It's just beautiful. And to go along with that Boris Karloff anthology, I thought this would be perfect. This is perfect. And I also looked on Abe Books, and this particular book is probably about $30 more than I paid for it. So that's doubly cool. At least some of the similar ones that I found. Like I said, it's in basically mint condition. I'm very happy to add this to Psycho with, I think, the only other Robert Bloch I own, other than his short stories here and there in anthologies. This is a 1977 copy. It's like 2 years younger than me, which I think is adorable, but yeah, the back jacket. Where do I get the ideas for my stories? God only knows. But if that's sufficient because God keeps on providing me with plots year after year, or is it the devil? He asks. Some readers seem to think so. They find a diabolical element in my work, a bit of brimstone in my build-ups, a smidge of sulfur in my solutions. Whatever the source, I have reason to be grateful, but the questions and the readers keep nagging. Perhaps you and I can find the answer together. That'll be fun. As I've told you, I'm not sure who or what influenced me, but following the conclusion of each story included here, I'll set down something of the circumstances under which it was written. In that way, maybe we can both come to better understanding of why I write and why you read stories designed to give you cold chills. So I am looking forward to this. And we have an idea of what influenced Robert Bloch, do we not? Howard Phillips Lovecraft. Robert Bloch was mentored by him. And I don't know all of the ins and outs. I'm no expert on the literary geniuses of the horror genre, but he is one. H.P. Lovecraft was a huge influence on his work. And in turn, our friend Robert Bloch also worked with Jack Ketchum. Now, this may not be the best Jack Ketchum book in the whole planet. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good Easter read for its tangential link to the Easter season. Greek Orthodox Easter, that is. And he does mention bouncing this off Robert Bloch, who's told him, let it sit a couple years, it'll come back into fashion, because supernatural horror was falling out at the time that Jack Ketchum wrote this. And as Jack Ketchum says, Robert Bloch was right. So yeah, it was just cool to read a mention with this sitting beside it when I was finished reading She Wakes, talking about this particular author. And that brings me a little bit to Brian Keene. We go from Howard Phillips Lovecraft to the wonderful Robert Bloch. And then we go to Jack Ketchum, our friend Jack Ketchum, rest in peace, who mentored Brian Keene. So that little mention of Brian Keene just helped a little bit with, again, this is not the first time on the show that all four authors have sort of commingled in a mention somehow. So She Wakes, a review is up at typicalbooks.com already. I'm not going to do a standalone review of it because it was just a really fun distraction, so you can go and read that. But of course, suffice it to say, as I said, it's not the starting point for Jack Ketchum. If you've never read Jack Ketchum before, you could ask in the comments if you think there's a Jack Ketchum book that has caught your eye, if you were interested in this, She Wakes, because of its biblical theme or its travel to Greece. If you've never been to Greece, I've never been to Greece, and I always did kind of want to go. Now I really, really want to go. And maybe not to see the island of Mykonos because it may be a little more fun than I'm looking for, but there is many islands to choose from, many ruins, many tombs, many beautiful, beautiful things and beautiful, beautiful people to see. So yeah, I would be spoiled for choice going to Greece. But this makes Mykonos Island sound really interesting. So it is a group of travelers. The first one we meet is a bit of a tomb raider, Robert Chase. And Chase has had a vision that has had him come back to Greece. He can't stay away. There's something more he needs to investigate there. And he keeps having dreams and visions. Some of the travelers here that we meet also have dreams and visions. And one vision come to flesh is Layla, a little bit of a shrew. She is scorned. Her and another tourist have broken up. Dodgson is a bit of not a ladies' man. He doesn't mean to be, I don't think. He's a bit of a Barney Rubble that accidentally becomes the ladies' man when he catches the eye of Layla. They have a fiery breakup, and Layla figures that nothing is going to get between her and her man. And of course, there is a rumbling of a more ancient wrath that is awakened by Layla's wrath in turn. So it is a really kind of disjointed story in a way. It's very impressionistic at times, thanks to its kind of surreality with these dreams and visions. But if you like supernatural horror, if you want to get into something like The Ruins or Teristas, or something that has a bit of a travel thing, it would make a good beach read that way, but not body horror and not really overt. There's a little bit of steamy, sexy scenes, but not a lot, and it's not really explicit. There are some explicit gore scenes, but not like balls out extreme at all. So it's very, very tame as far as Ketchum goes. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Half of it is really getting to know the characters and the islands and loving the flower man that walks the streets selling flowers. The rest of it is a little more typical horror. So this month, for some reason, I've read a lot of books with S in the title. She Wakes and Scurry and Senseless. We talked about She Wakes, so Scurry is a review copy sent kindly from the author, Sean Barber. Thank you very much for sending that along. I'm very intrigued, and I'm a little late to the game because this came out just on the 25th of April. So it's a brand new book. If you're interested, check it out. I love the cover. It's got that child scrawled word scurry and a dead bug. And bugs actually genuinely do creep me out, like a lot of people. And I really love serial killer horror, so it'll be nice to return to that after the travel log of terror that was She Wakes. Caddy Hammond isn't like other girls. She can talk to roaches. It's not a gift that she ever wanted or asked for, but ever since she was a child, it's marked her as different. And in the suburb of Hilly Green, different is just about the worst thing that a person can be. You and me both, kid. After a lifetime as a social pariah, culminating a bloody and terrifying encounter with a deranged murderer, Caddy left suburbia and never looked back. A decade has passed since then, and now a call from her sick mother brings Caddy home. Not much has changed in Hilly Green. The houses are still beautiful, the lawns are still immaculate, the people still smile and gossip and quietly judge their neighbors. And the serial killer Caddy narrowly escaped from all of those years ago is still there watching her. He has his own gifts, and he has his own pride, and he has no intention of letting the roach girl slip through his fingers once more. So I'm very intrigued. You can see why. Serial killers and roach girls. So I guess she's like a Slytherin, but with roaches? Okay, I can get behind that. I can also get behind Senseless by Ronald Malfi. This is cool. This is one I'm going to talk about a little more in depth at a later date. I haven't written the review for it yet. That'll be up at Typical Books as well. But I love the cover. I'm newer to Ronald Malfi. I'd read Snow and another one, Bone White, I believe, a long time ago, and really liked that. Small town horror, absolutely loved. This was good. This was really good. And it's a procedural, more of like a crime horror. Not so much horror even, just a crime thriller. But it does get pretty dark and a little visceral, because I guess that's what Ronald Malfi does. Fans of Mr. Mercedes will really like this. I talked about this a little bit as it was a new release really recently. It just came out like last week. So yeah, that is in the new release video as well, the synopsis of that particular book. But it is a cop that is chasing a killer, basically. I think the thing I liked the most about Senseless was its dual narrative. We have this no-nonsense cop chasing a serial killer who is mutilating girls in LA. And we also have this down on his luck, kind of semi-deranged gentleman who has very, very profound mental illness. And he is street adjacent, street involved for the bulk of his life by choice. And it's very interesting to follow Toby, the young man, and the cop. So yeah, if you really like Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, I found that was really similar from the procedural point of view. That's kind of more of the tack it takes and talking about mental illness a little bit. And I also found it akin to, of course, the Black Dahlia murders. So if you without the really sensationalized angle or the 1940s angle, it's in the modern time and it's not quite as sensationalized. It is like a horrific story. I count serial killers as horror, but hey, some people don't. So if you are looking for supernatural, you got it, because there's supernatural angles in Senseless as well. I really like the visitations that happen in this book. So it does have supernatural ghosty angles here and there. Coming up on the show really soon, I've touched on it a little bit there about what makes books scary or not scary. Serial killers are scary to me. They're not scary to some people. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about why people find books not scary. And of course, we'll be talking about some of the books that come up in May. So yes, stay tuned for that. For patrons, I just released the quarterly podcast. The poll is behind. I meant to have it up already, so that's forthcoming as well. There will be 4 books to choose from that are coming up in May and June that I'll choose from for reading. I've been buying a lot less books, so I'm only running the poll about every 2 weeks because I've got a lot of backwards books to get to, 3 of which are sitting on my TBR right now. So I guess it'll be a little bit of time before I get to Cold Chills, be that as it may. If there's anything on this list that you've already read, let me know in the comments below, or anything that you think that I ought to be reading. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and have an spooky day.